am going to discuss induction of labor for long case or viva preparation. Before offering induction of labor to your patient, you must understand three important facts. Number one is there should be no contraindication to vaginal delivery. Second is there must be a valid clinical indication for induction of labor. And third is your patient should be willing for induction of labor and vaginal delivery. Now coming to the recommended methods for induction of labor. There are four recommended methods. First one is sweeping of membranes. Second is medical induction. Third is surgical, and fourth is mechanical. Sweeping of membrane can be offered to patient if your patient is nulliparous. Sweeping of membrane can be offered at 40 weeks and 41 weeks. If your patient is parous, sweeping of membrane can be offered at 41 weeks. If cervical os is closed and is not admitting a finger, then massage in vaginal fornices will also play the same role. Second recommended method is medical induction of labor. In medical induction of labor, vaginal prostaglandin E2 is preferred method. It can be administered in the form of tablet, gel, or pessary, slow release pessary. Next most common question or query or confusion is how many doses should be given at which interval. One cycle of vaginal prostaglandin E2 tablet and gel is recommended, and one cycle of slow release vaginal pessary is recommended. What is one cycle of gel or tablet? You can give maximum 2 doses of tablet or gel 6 hours apart. Suppose if you have induced your patient at 6 a.m. morning, you will repeat dose at 12 p.m. if your patient is not in labor, and reassess 6 hours after second dose. Next question comes, what is definition of failed induction? If there is no onset of labor 6 hours after second dose of induction, it is labeled as failed induction. Then what to do if induction is failed? After failed induction, you need to re-evaluate your patient condition, her fetus condition. If everything is normal, then you can offer your patient the option of further induction or C-section. The third dose of prostaglandin E2 vaginal tablet can be given after discussion with patient and consultant obstetrician, and that third dose is given 6 hours after the second dose. And third one is surgical induction of labor. Surgical induction includes amniotomy. Amniotomy with or without oxytocin is not routinely recommended. There is only single indication for surgical induction of labor, that is when vaginal prostaglandin E2 is contraindicated due to uterine hyperstimulation. Fourth one is mechanical induction of labor. Mechanical induction includes balloon catheter or laminaria TEDS. Mechanical induction of labor is not routinely recommended. Next comes when to do induction of labor in specific circumstances. The first recommended indication or condition for induction of labor is prevention of prolonged pregnancy. As prolonged pregnancy is not practical in our country, so for prevention of prolonged pregnancy, induction of labor is recommended between 41 and 42 weeks. If your patient is having uncomplicated low risk pregnancy. Then comes preterm pre-labor rupture of membranes. If your patient is having preterm pre-labor rupture of membranes and there is no infection and no fetal compromise, then offer induction of labor at 37 weeks. Next comes pre-labor rupture of membranes at term. When your patient presents with pre-labor rupture of membranes at term, offer induction of labor or expectant management. Induction of labor after 24 hours of ruptured membrane is appropriate in preterm labor of ruptured membranes. Next comes intrauterine fetal demise. Offer immediate induction of labor if there is any evidence of ruptured membranes, bleeding, or infection in patient with intrauterine fetal demise. Next comes severe fetal growth restriction. In patients with severe fetal growth restriction and fetal compromise, induction of labor is not recommended. Next is breech presentation. Induction of labor is not recommended for breech presentation. If ECV is unsuccessful and patient refuses elective cesarean section, then after discussion of all risks of induction of labor, you can offer induction of labor to your patient with breech presentation. Next comes suspected macrosomia. Without any other indication, induction of labor is not recommended for suspected macrosomia. Next comes the setting and time of induction of labor. If facility of sport and safety is available, outpatient induction of labor can be offered. Otherwise, you can offer inpatient induction of labor. The most troublesome question till now regarding induction of labor is when to induce your patient and why to induce at that specific time. Induction of labor is recommended in the morning, that is at 6 a.m. and reason for recommendation of induction of labor in morning is higher maternal satisfaction. Next comes how to monitor patient with induction of labor. Facility for continuous electronic fetal heart rate monitoring should be available. But once your CTG is normal, auscultate fetal heart rate intermittently. Assess Bishop 6 hours after first dose of vaginal prostaglandin E2 tablet or gel. Next comes induction of labor for previous month C-section. Induction of labor with vaginal prostaglandin E2 can be offered if your patient is well motivated for vaginal birth after C-section and willing for induction of labor. Another indication is maternal request for induction of labor. In exceptional circumstances, like if someone's partner has to go abroad, then maternal request induction of labor can be offered at or after 40 weeks. This completes the brief discussion about induction of labor. If still there are any queries, your suggestions are most welcome.